right, y'all. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Greetings, everybody. Mm. let me just. I'm giving thanks for this moment and the way that Spirit is moving in and through me. I'm going to say I'm going to invite y'all to put on your seatbelts because I don't know where this is going. We're about to do Zig Zag. So even as I sat in my seat there, there's been this morphing of what I was going to talk about. I never come in here with any set agenda of how I'm going to talk. I just wait and see how Spirit is going to move through me. As I was sitting there, I heard so many different things coming up, and I thought that I wanted to hop in and out of each and every one of them. But I think too that I'm going to back up into new thought in general as I talk, because sometimes we need to be reminded about some of the principles that are undergirding what our teaching is. We say on a regular basis, there is but one presence and one power, the God, the good, the omnipotent, and yet we then cast it over there on the side as if it is not right where we are and who we are in this moment. So I want to kind of back into that, but I'm going to back into that in an interesting way. A Course in Miracles starts out with this introduction, and it says, this is a Course in Miracles. It is a required course. When I read that the first time, I thought, how are you going to tell me this is required? Right? It gives you that moment of pause, and I don't know about you, but I'm sitting up there thinking, how is this a required course? Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. I think that's the way it goes. The aim of the course is not to teach the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to your awareness of love's presence. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Now, for a long time, I pondered what that meant. I pondered what it meant for me in my life, right? And I kept thinking to myself, how are you going to tell me love can't be taught, right? It had to be a particular way in which I came to understand what love is in order for me to say that I love another. And so what I found is that I spent a lot of time meditating on love. What does it mean? We go around and we throw it out like candy sometimes, you know, I love you, I love you. And yet we haven't learned how to love ourselves. We sit in judgment of ourselves. We think that somehow we're not enough. Something's wrong with us. Then we turn around, and as we judge and we look upon our brother, we don't extend to them the same grace that we want for ourselves. And so I often wonder, how can it be love if it's not total? If it's not total, if it's only for some in certain situations, how could it be possibly love? Now, I know. Sandra, we dabbling in areas that we may not need to go. But listen here. This is what I surmised as I started thinking about what love is. I started thinking about what God was for me. When we do this breath work, when we breathe in, I used to look at images, and y'all might have heard me talk about this before because for some reason it's so interesting to me. I look at not only my dogs, I look at pictures of apes, and I look at pictures of, all of these different animals, and I see them inhaling and exhaling. I see their nostrils moving. I see how everything breathes, how everything moves with this wonderful breath, this air, this thing that is connecting all of us. And I think to myself, it breathed into man this breath of life, and it became a living being. And I started thinking that this thing called God must be pouring itself into me as me at every moment of every day. I am not separate and apart. And if I'm not separate and apart, that means that you're not separate and apart. You must also live, move, and breathe in this same presence called God. And God is not judging you. So you should not be judging yourself. When you get the clue that this thing called God is moving through you, we have all these blocks that we put up in the way. We block it with our judgments. We block it with unforgiveness. We block it with all of these different things that we hold on to, and we make it seem as if it's major and real. And yet, we say, I love you. We've got to get rid of some of this stuff. We've got to get rid of all the judgments, all the things that we're holding on. And some of y'all know you holding on to stuff that happened to you when you was. Right. Who didn't choose you for the team? What somebody else did, what somebody else did. And sometimes without even having evidence that it's real. And even if it was so, we still hold on to it. I got to pause and step back for a second because I like to tell my business. So this week was a really hard week for me. I've been going through a really interesting patch lately. And this week in particular, in one of my yoga classes, I have a young lady who is experiencing a lot of pain. And I look at her and, appearance-wise, you would think she was very healthy and everything could be going her way. I mean, she's so young. And yet she walks around in so much pain. And so, sometimes I sit there and, as we're doing our movements and everything, I'm asking her, because it's chair yoga too, and I'm asking her about what's the blocks? What is it? What is it that you're going through? And so this week, things started coming out. I will tell you that the pain in your spirit, the pain in your mind will be the pain in your body. And it manifests as dis-ease. And the things that you will not let go of begin to be the problems that you walk around in your body with, and yet and still, people don't want to let go of it. I don't know about how many of y'all relate to that. But part of it is yes, it's a wonderful healing practice that we try to go out there, but so many people rather get a pill to mask the pain than to deal with the mental stuff and releasing it. And what needs to happen sometimes is what I might call it seems simple, forgiveness, ho'oponopono prayer, right? It seems simple. And yet, you want to grab and you want to hold on to it. So I had a girlfriend I hadn't talked to in about 3 years, right? Because she was mad at me. She was mad at me because she had called me up about an argument she was having with her husband. And then she calls me up as if I was going to agree with her. And I told her, I said, I don't want to hear this crap. I don't have drama in my life like this. I was like, if this is for me, if this is the mountain you want to die on, that is fine. But I don't want to hear it. She hung up on me. and did not speak to me for 3 years. 3 years. And as I was sitting there, I used to say all the time, I would tell her husband, send him a text, tell her I love her. Tell her I miss her. Because I don't have that kind of stuff. I don't have that kind of stuff going on. I can shift. I'm not holding on to stuff. So she calls me up the other day. Yeah, and I pick up the phone and I said, hello. And you know what she says? I knew you were going to say that. I knew she was going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. That's what she said. I knew you were going to say that. And I'm thinking, what else am I going to say? I pick up the phone. I see your name. I pick up the phone. Hello. How you been? And then she sits there and she says, well, you act like nothing happened. I said, well, for me, nothing did. So then she starts telling me about the outcome of the argument. Well, I got what I wanted. From 3 years ago. I got what I wanted. And I'm thinking, how nice. So what? Right? So as she continues to talk, I finally said to her, I says, sweetie, what's wrong? And she says to me, I'm dying. And I said, okay, we all are. That's what I said. I'm sorry. I'm so insensitive, aren't I? I said, we all are. Tell me what else is happening. And so she started to run down the things that were happening in her body. Now, y'all, I am just as irreverent in my life and in my friendships as I come across up here, right? I am constantly in this space of poking the bear. So I don't sit up and cry with you. I'm sorry. Poke them again. I don't sit up and cry with people. So what I said to her was, do you ever consider that all the stuff that you're hanging on to, the things that, because I've known her since college, right? The things that you're hanging on to in between your mom and your dad from when you were a kid, those things are still in you. The things that you dealt with, whether it was in high school and through college, you're still holding on to. You've been mad at me for 3 years just because I didn't want to hear what you had to say. Do you ever think that it's the unforgiveness that you carry around in you that is causing the pain and the illness and your kidneys to shut down in your body today? She says, well, whatever, Sandra, they only gave me 6 months. Oh. So it becomes this thing of constantly thinking about the things that we are doing that causes the upset in our body. When we look at the things, even as we read the stories in the Bible, we can look at them and we could think that they're just about these moments where people were caught up in fear or in this struggle up against one another, wars and rumors of wars. All of these things are mental issues that become physical manifestations in our body, and it's showing us how to move through it. As a man thinketh, or a woman, so are you. And so at what point do we learn how to release and let go of the things that we hold on so tightly as if they are truth? If love is love, it has to be total or it isn't at all. So we can talk about this thing of our job being to love, but the moment we start to build blocks in between one another, then we are then keeping out the very love that is trying to flow through us. And just like a water hose, when you put your finger over the hose, it causes a backup. The same thing is happening in you. You are meant to be love. You are meant to move through these things, not get stuck on them. This is not the mountain that we die on, but rather, how do we let go? How do we begin each morning anew? How do we set up a practice in our lives so that we then get clarity around what it is that we're thinking and bringing into the world? Y'all, this is not just to come in here on a Sunday and get somebody to, throw some words at you. This is a daily practice. It's a daily practice. When you wake up in the morning, we're expecting grace in our life, but we don't want to give grace to others. We don't want to do the prayer work. We don't want to change our minds about the thing. But this is a practice. It's a practical, spiritual teaching. And so at some point, we got to learn how to zigzag. There's a quote that I heard this week, and y'all may help me with who said it. I think it was Jung, Carl Jung. Having is evidence of wanting. Can somebody tell me? Having is evidence of wanting. Is that Carl Jung? That's a? Okay, probably. But it was one of those psychiatrists that said it, and I think it was Carl Jung. And I sat there pondering that idea. I love Abraham, right? Love that whole Abraham Hicks movement. But having is evidence of wanting. And sometimes we want to sit there and think, well, I have this problem. I have this disease. I have this thing. But I didn't want it. Or did I? Is there something in me that is calling for the drama that I'm experiencing? I got stung by a bee this week. I was telling Verena I got stung by a bee this week. Is having evidence of wanting? Did I want this? Did I want a wake-up call? Did I want something? What is it that we're wanting? Are we wanting love? Are we wanting forgiveness? Are we wanting to experience this thing called God, and yet we push it away? Is that? So, I'm excited. This turn up in my life doesn't catch me in this thing of turning away, but rather turning towards. There's a sick part of me that wants to get down in the nitty-gritty of the drama that's going on and try to see what it is that it has for me, because I know that within it there is a level of growth. I know within it that God is speaking to and through me, just like God is speaking to and through you. Y'all, there ain't no accidents. Yeah, Reverend David is not here today. He was, overcome by something that, thing that didn't come to stay. It came to pass, right? God, he sent me a text and said, hey, can you speak this Sunday? I'm like, I'm usually there on fourth Sundays. This is not my Sunday. But there are no accidents, right? No accidents. And so the fact that you stumbled in here today when I'm talking, no accidents. There's something within you that needed that gut check. This is a practical religion. It's a practical way of thinking. It's a practical way of moving through the world. And there is something for you to do. This is not Sunday morning. This is not something you take off when you get home, hang up in the closet, and don't pick up until next Sunday. It's practical. That means every day thinking about what it is you flow into the world. thinking about how you see others, because you don't really see others. You only see versions of yourself. The things that come up for you, they come up not to do something to you. They are there for you. And sometimes it's a reminder. It's a reminder. Oh, this same problem I'm having with this person right here is the same problem I had with my mom and dad. It's the same problem I keep seeing over and over again. It's the same thing. And it's just telling you, let it go. Only love is real. Only love is real. Let's remove the blocks to our awareness of love's presence. Now, it seems like I should have something else to say to you, but I think that right there I'm going to be complete. I didn't talk about Zig Zag, right? I didn't talk about that nearly enough. Sometimes what I'm thinking is that we need to have or allow, give ourselves permission to change our minds. Right? We get caught up in fear all too often. This whole thing about Springfield, Ohio, this is some, they start giving you things just to be afraid of. What the hell? I'm sorry. Y'all don't believe the crap, right? Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck. Only love is real. And it comes in many faces, in different things. Only love is real. And when you have the moment where you think, oh, right? Choose again. Choose again. We've got to walk this practice, live this practice, be this practice. Only love is real. All right, that's what I got for you.